brings up a subject that I want to get your guys' opinions on, and it's something that the English Ice Hockey Association, they've already mandated, and that's wearing a neck guard to prevent, these kind of tragedies, anything sort of happening like this. And look, hockey is such a fast-paced game with such high impact velocities that, I'm not saying it's amazing that something like this doesn't happen more often. And thank God it doesn't happen more often. But is this something that you could see in terms of the NHL possibly putting a mandate in to wear neck guards? I know players are already starting to do it. We saw some of the Penguins do it as is, and there's talk about it, and other players have come out and said it wouldn't shock them if the NHL puts a mandate in. But I just want to get your guys' opinions on the NHL possibly making this a new mandate to wear these neck guards.
Well, this would have to be collectively bargained with the Players Association, and I would expect that over the course of time, that neck guards will be mandated. But I think it probably would be a process over a number of years where players are grandfathered in. Players of a certain age or certain year or certain uh, games of experience are mandated to wear or are mandated to wear it, but others have a choice, the same way it was with helmets, the same way it was with visors. I think, like you think about how difficult it was to get the union to agree to mandate visors, even after there were serious eye injuries, and how many players were stubborn and didn't wear visors. Now I think there are fewer than 6 in the league who don't wear visors. And my grandson is 12. He would never even think about going onto the ice without a helmet, without a visor. He wears a neck guard because it's mandated, and I would expect that he would want to wear a neck guard for the rest of his career. So I think eventually it'll happen, but I think it'll be a process where it's collectively bargained, and the Players Association generally takes a little bit of time to come around to safety issues. Brian, you've obviously been in the middle of these conversations before. So what do you think?
As a guy who wouldn't, I didn't put the shield on my helmet because I honestly truly believed it made it. I was in more danger because I sweat so much I couldn't see. I am 100% on board if they do another survey, and they did a survey, the USA Hockey, and Dr. Michael Stewart, he did it with the face shields, and he's done it with the neck guards as well. And it's interesting with certain neck guards. There's some science behind that it could potentially make it worse. The floating neck guard that you just strap on and off. Now, in 2 seasons ago, a kid in Connecticut passed away from getting cut in a high school game, and I immediately went to Pure Hockey and bought the long sleeve Bauer, full on undershirt with the neck guard attached to it that went all the way up, pretty much right under my son's ear at the time. Now he's grown, and I thought maybe I need to get a couple more, just have one, wash one, and it's a pain in the neck. But he's young, so it doesn't get that dirty, I guess. But this weekend, TJ Oshie's War Road cut proof wrist and neck shirt sold out. $200 a whack, which is a lot, I think, in my opinion, but worth every penny if you're a parent. And I didn't look at it like, oh, I got away with this, that could have happened to me. I just immediately thought about my son. And it's funny because I gave it to him, and the first day he wore it, he loved it. And then every single time after, there's been time where it's wet, and he has another, like a CCM regular undershirt with his team logo on it. That's great. I'm like, wear that. No, I got to wear my neck guard. And I was the opposite. I hated the neck guard. It choked me. I don't wear a mouth guard. I hated all that stuff. So if they can do more research on it, they can make more products and more affordable ones as well. But I understand it's probably not cheap to make. It's definitely something that I would 100% back. And I do that by having it for my son. I don't skate that much anymore. Another coach on our team texted us, said I'm $200 in the hole before I even left the rink because my wife made me buy one for my son. And then he told us the next day he was actually $400 because his wife made him buy one for himself too for his once a week men's league. So it's like It's unlikely, obviously. It's a very low percentage. Why would you risk it? It's a dangerous game. I did not, to be honest, I did not like the hit. Man lost his life. Thought it was sort of a reckless play. I'd have to watch it again in more detail before I don't know. It was just, it's hard. And everybody involved it's devastating. It's awful. And, you know, to his family, my deepest condolences and sympathies, and to, you know, to the guy on the other side too, same thing. I mean, that's a lot to take on and to live with. I'm sure it's just devastating for everyone, both teams, the league. You go over there, a lot of guys go over there to get their masters. It's terribly sad. And I mean, you can just, that's all it is. It's terribly, terribly sad. And if you can avoid it with a piece of equipment, 100% you got to do it.
Yeah, I run around the Rangers yesterday, staff and players alike, and guys are rattled. Guys are really, really rattled. And while the Rangers, you know, they were in the middle of a road trip, so there have not been any official conversations about, you know, doing it as a team or, you know, anything like that because they were busy with the trip. But it was a topic of conversation in the Rangers room amongst the players, 100%. Guys are thinking about it. It's obviously a change, you know, in your routine, what you're comfortable with, what you're wearing and stuff. But I mean, a lot of the guys, and I actually had one player who was generous enough to show it to me because obviously I've never worn this equipment in my life. But I mean, they already have, a lot of them already wear cut resistant wrist guards and ankle guards, you know, that just cover the exposed areas that the equipment don't. And I touched it. It's like a compression, you know, tight. It feels like a sock almost, like a compression sock. And I mean, from what I touched, you know, it felt like it should be relatively comfortable. I'm sure the neck is a little bit different, but I mean, it's definitely something that a lot of guys in the room are thinking about. I saw online that Bill Daly and Gary Bettman have been in communication with Marty Walsh, and it sounds like the NHL is definitely pushing for there to be a neck guard mandate because, you know, obviously it doesn't matter what league it happens in. It's always absolutely horrible and an absolute tragedy. But obviously the NHL is looking at this situation and, you know, thinking to themselves, why would we, you know, want to put ourselves in a position where it could be one of our players, you know? So I definitely wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a thing. But like Larry said, it will have to be a collective bargaining agreement. Everybody's going to have to be on board with it, but I can't imagine why anybody wouldn't after how rocked the hockey world has been this past weekend. So, yeah, to echo Brian, just absolute most sincere condolences to everybody affected in this. It was just an absolutely horrible, horrible situation.
Yeah, Molly, I wore those. I wore the wrist ones, and lots of guys threw those on their feet after the Matt Cook, Erik Karlsson situation where Erik lost most of his Achilles. So people, it doesn't affect your mobility. If it doesn't affect your mobility or your vision, guys are going to do it. If they got the shields passed through, my guess would be that you're going to see everybody wearing them. Maybe not next week, but I think guys are going to buy in, and most guys have a shirt on underneath. You change it, you'll have 3 or 4 of them for the season. But again, the ones that are attached to a shirt, almost like a turtleneck, have proven in terms of injury, or if you're wearing a neck guard and you get something near your neck, they prevented injury better than just the floating. And I just want people to understand that and know that, because sometimes just a floating neck guard can, in fact, make it worse.
I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but I was covering the Islanders. I think it was the 2021 season. They had 3 separate incidents with skate lacerations. Casey Zizekas, Cal Clutterbuck, to his wrist. He missed 30 games for that. And Johnny Boychuk, straight down the face.
Yeah.
And I remember, I mean, I hope he doesn't mind me telling the story. I mean, we wrote about it, but I remember Cal Clutterbuck his first media availability, he handpicked the 3 reporters that he was comfortable with being in the room, and I was grateful enough to be one of them. And he came out and he spoke so candidly about how traumatizing the experience was and how he will never be the same player again because of it. He was so rattled. I can't even imagine what, like, it literally makes me shiver what that sort of experience would be like. But I would imagine that players like that, I mean, Johnny Boychuk is such a lively, happy-go-lucky person that, of course, when I spoke to him about his incident, he's making me laugh, telling me about how his facial recognition on his iPhone didn't recognize him because his face was so busted up.
Mangled.
But that's Johnny Boychuk. But I remember Cal, oh God, he was just so, his whole demeanor, he was just so violently uncomfortable with even reliving the experience with us and talking about it, that I can't imagine that guys that have had that experience wouldn't, come out and say, guys, we need to do this. This is for our betterment, and we just need to, the guys that don't want to do it just need to suck it up. It's better than bleeding out on the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never want to see that kind of tragedy in the NHL. And again, offer our deepest condolences to the Johnson family.